Okay, so my audio is on, and yeah, another weekly forecast being done on a Monday. Doesn't change too much because we've only had, what, 6, 7 hours of trading so far. I don't think you've missed a life changing move over those few hours. Um, I would have done it last night, but don't. By the time I was able to chain, sit at my computer was pretty much midnight almost, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do a weekly forecast at midnight. Not like price is gonna move crazy between now and then. So here we are. As usual, start with the economic calendar. What do we have today? We don't have too much going on. See for the week overall. Have retail sales tomorrow, FOMC on Wednesday, and yeah, those are pretty much the big ones for this week. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting to see some form of Wednesday reversal or Wednesday expansion, depending on how today and tomorrow play out. Then we'll see how it goes from there. And at the charts, we'll start with gold. So gold made a new all-time high. This is not supposed to be visible. Low-key, I could actually even delete these levels here because until price comes back to them, they're not really of any use. Okay, so there we have this buy-side liquidity has been traded through. Prices run through the all-time high and progressing. So we look here on the weekly chart. Guess we could move this all the way to up here. So last week made a fair value gap going through this all-time high. Yeah, let's just leave this on. There's no swing low to the left of this, so this is not being marked, nor is this. This is the closest level of sell-side liquidity that we have. There's also this gap over here. Since this is the area with the most recent price action where we're likely to trade in, I'm not going to mark this fair value gap. I'm going to mark this one. Leave this one marked. And then, okay, so daily, we're above the range for the last 60 days. Price is decidedly bullish. As you can see here, this hasn't been updated since that week, like 2 weeks ago. Currently consolidating over here. Extend this all the way to Saturday next week. Label that clearly. So last week we saw consolidation. We could very well see retracement back into down here for the rest of the week. Going into this week. Okay, so we're going to zoom in a little bit more so I can see this more clearly. There really isn't a level of daily sell side liquidity. I mean, there's a swing low over there, there's a swing low over there, and I noticed that there's a difference between these kinds of swing lows and these kinds of swing lows, in the sense that this was a retracement into a fair value gap before an expansion, and then this was a sweep of liquidity before the expansion. What I've noticed is the lows that do retrace into fair value gaps, sometimes they tend to hold for quite long. Typically, I would trust more the ones that have swing lows on either side. So according to this fib, gold should be heading to about 1800. That's wild. So I'm gonna fit this right here. This is what I see happening this week. Okay. Next pair. Use this for Twitter. JP225 is also breaking all-time highs. Just gonna leave all of this on there. Let's just use this for now as reference. Current month hasn't closed, so until we close this candle, I'm just gonna leave this on here. Okay, weekly charts, let's go. So we see we had a pullback into this overlap of a mitigation block, I guess, and this fair value gap traded down all the way to somewhere in the midpoint and then pushed higher through this recently formed all-time high that was in that week. So what I can do is just mark out this imbalance here and then note that it's an imbalance, not a fair value gap. And the all-time high now becomes this. Okay, daily. I was bearish on that week. Price just went higher. No, I want to change the color of these. Make it look like the other charts. Okay, so that's more clear. And this level of buy side where price looked like it was respecting and then just blew through it on the Thursday. What happened was, so we had retracement into an imbalance here. And then pull this higher. Well, it really depends on how we react to this PD ray over here. Because what happens now is too much on my charts. I could delete this. It's not going to change too much. I could delete this, mark it up later. And this daily sell side. There's actually sell side over here. That's more recent. Drop that over there. Here, would I use this? Or would I use this? Should I? focusing on this piece of price action. I would actually argue that we might do this instead. Something like this. And last chart. The dollar is far from all-time highs. Still haven't reached this level of buy side. This is not mitigated, but doesn't have to be on the chart. Just make it a little cleaner. Extend this forward a little bit, and this too. So what happened is price went to swing high. Now it looks like we're approaching this swing high just to retest. I believe because we have an imbalance here. More recent. And price did dip down into it over here and is pushing higher. Expecting it to reach that fair value gap in the next 2 to 3 months. Yeah, it's been consolidating for a hot minute right now. This fair value gap's been respected so far. I'm sticking to the idea of it being mitigated because we've traded through it. And that high would be buy side liquidity on a weekly chart because we have this, and this. Went into the midpoint again, however, also being defended quite nicely this area. So I'll just take this, move it to more recent price action, and then extend it out into time. See how this midpoint was respected despite the long ass wick going down there, which means that the monthly level was tapped, and it's just going down and being pushed back up, going down and being pushed back up, going down and being pushed back up, going down and not even getting to halfway and being pushed back up. I'm seeing bullishness over here. My idea was bearish. Did trade into this eventually and came back lower, respecting this fair value gap, not closing below the midpoint. And yeah, can extend this into the next couple days. When this candle closes, then that will confirm this as buy side liquidity, because right now we have a low to the left, a low forming to the right, but until we close below this low, then this is not a swing low. I actually see happening though, because the higher time frame says bullish. Could see something like this. Although I should be looking for sells, conditions are not really looking selly. How much? A lot of rejection over here, essentially. Yeah. There we go. That's my forecast for the week ahead.